So much for staying with us. Our time just about 9.5 minutes, moving down past 7 on this Friday edition of the program. Good morning, St. Lucia. On a Friday, we drop the tie and we tone things down a bit. However, today is a very important anniversary, and we have a very special guest who is already standing by, who will introduce to you shortly. A family in search of justice, some 9 years after the court ruling that the police had acted unlawfully in the death of their loved one. The name Chakadan Daniel perhaps continues to ring a bell in the heads of many. We'll touch base with her sister shortly when we go beyond the headlines.
The story of Chakadan Daniel has been one that has haunted many for the last 9 years. To date, the family says they feel like they are still living in a nightmare. On October 23, 2013, police say they found 22-year-old Chakadan Daniel suspended in his cell at the Micoud Police Station. Daniel had been arrested for escape in custody, assaulting an officer, and damaging property. The post-mortem revealed that Daniel had died from asphyxiation and that he had a head contusion. His death sparked much outrage in the public domain, and in 2014, the family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the RSLPF. More than 1 year later, on July 24, 2015, an inquest declared that Daniel was in fact unlawfully killed. The case of Chakadan Daniel for years had been dragging on, but in 2018, some 6 officers who were attached to the Micoud Police Station at the time of Daniel's death were brought in for questioning. Almost 9 years later, the mother of Daniel, Frances Daniel, says her family is to this day still haunted by the particulars of the case. According to her, Daniel was her 7th out of 10 children, and they shared a special bond. She says the family is continuing its quest for justice, and they will not stop.
We are all demanding for an answer because they have a lot of questions to be answered. And as a single parent, I lost my son. And I'm demanding for justice. And I will not never give up, and never give up to get justice for him. And my family, even I myself, have bad dreams of thinking of violence. So I want the law of St. Lucia to look into the matter, because I don't want no violence. But if the law say they want peace, if you need peace, you must seek for justice, because there will not be no peace if there is no justice.
The now Director of Public Prosecution, Dasrin Green, at the time, was the attorney representing the Daniel family. Under his orders that the 2015 inquest into the RSLPF was undertaken. Daniel, however, has accused Green of dropping her case since his appointment as DPP.
Mr. Green, he was my lawyer, but he told me he's no more my lawyer again after they had him as a DPP. And now he's the DPP. I've been walking on up and down, up and down, up and down. And he's not doing nothing about it, just promising me and lying to me. And the people keep on asking me what happened. Everybody asking me. I keep on telling them, but they want to know. So I've come here today to tell the people what's going on. And I want the government of St. Lucia to look into that matter, because I'm sick and I'm tired. I'm sick of that, and I can't take any more again. So I'd like the government of St. Lucia to do something about it, because there was an inquest, and the jury said that they found that policemen were guilty of unlawful killing. So if there was unlawful killing, why are they not arresting them and charging them?
She says her family has sought to find another attorney to continue their journey to justice.
About 2 months back, I went to see him. He told me he have a lawyer for him. I tell him I don't want any more lawyer, because so long he never give me a lawyer. So I don't want any lawyer. I have my lawyer. He asked me who. I didn't remember the name to tell him, so I didn't tell him who.
According to her, the criminal justice system continues to fail her family, and she fears she is at her wit's end. She recalls that her son's killing put a target on her family, and she says she is exhausted. Daniel's father, Alan Inglis, who has since passed, played an instrumental role in ensuring that the case was brought to the public. Daniel says more than enough time has passed for closure to be given to her family.
If there is a law for Dick, there has to be a law for John. So I maintain that, and I want to see that something happen because I'm frustrated, depressed, and desperate to do. Even my whole life is at risk. And again, I'm saying, there was a man, an ex-police that said he was there when they was killing Chacadan. He stopped me in Vieux-Fort a day, and he told me he's going to kill me because I go on news. So I still have my life to be feared with him. And I went to court with him, and all the magistrate said to him was to tell me he's sorry. And that was all. And I did not accept that, but I had no choice.
The news team placed multiple calls to the DPP's office. However, as of news time, were unable to get in contact with him.
Thanks so much for staying with us. We are now into our Beyond the Headlines. This is a segment from a Hot 7 reporter, Genevieve Gonzaga, is leading us into this segment on Beyond the Headlines. We provide you with review and analysis of the big stories and a discourse on matters of national interest. In search of justice, 9 years after a declaration of unlawful police killing, this coming Sunday will mark 9 years since 22-year-old Chakadan Daniel was reported dead while in a police lockup. 23rd October 2013, that exact date. He was at the Micoud Police Station 2 years after his death on the 24th of July 2015. An inquest under the jurisdiction of Magistrate Robert Innocent ruled that the death was a result of unlawful police killing. 9 years after that unfortunate incident, the state is yet to arrive at a settlement with the mother and family of Chakadan Daniel. Today, right here and now, we revisit the memory of Chakadan Daniel, the unlawful police killing, and the frustration of a family in search of justice. Joining me now via the Flow WhatsApp platform, Isha Daniel, the sister of Chakadan. Isha, good morning. Thanks for agreeing to come on. It's been a long time. So much has been said. Lots of back and forth. Lots of requests for approvals and denials of those approvals. But Magistrate Robert Innocent has ruled that your brother, your loved one, was unlawfully killed while in police lockup. This Sunday will mark an important anniversary, but yet still no closure. How is the family coping, first to start off?
I wouldn't say we're coping very well with it. It's been a while, and from the first day it happened, things have just been getting worse and worse and worse. Like there's nothing happening, so the feelings will just get worse. Imagine you seeing the same police officers every single day in your eyes, and nothing is being done about this, physically being done about this, and it's just getting depressing every single time. So it's just not been a good feeling at all whatsoever. And every day I feel horrible. Every time I have to relive this scene, this memory, and every single year on this day, I replay everything back in my head, and it's just a horrible feeling. Yeah. Nothing haven't been good because nothing haven't been done.
I can imagine, and yet still the family is requesting justice. It's been a long road to justice for you. Let's go back on this road, Isha. 2013. How did your family receive the news? You in particular, you were much younger then. reflect with us that day.
I just turned 16 at the time. I was just leaving secondary school. The way we received the news, my mom went to, I believe she went to bring food for my brother that day because he was in the cell. And going to see him, that's when she found out. And nobody called us because, I mean, if this happened, you're going to call the family members and let them know something bad has happened to the sibling also. They should call us. I mean, like the station should have called us or so. Because if this something so has happened, why did they not call us? You know? And my mom had to find out on her own, going to bring food for my brother, which was a horrible way to find out that your son is murdered, or they declare he was found hanging. So she went there to do that, and then she found out. And then they told her that they're gonna bring him to the hospital. I mean, if y'all found somebody hanging and they're dead, why would y'all want to bring her to the? I don't know if they said it to try to confuse my mother or so. They told her that they're gonna bring him to the hospital, call ambulance to try to take him to the hospital or so. And so she came home. She came rushing home, devastated, out of her mind, trying to give the news. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And she was saying I couldn't believe it for myself. It took me weeks upon until his funeral to even believe that was happening. Like when she told us that, I was like, "Sure, Mom, are you sure? Did they say they're taking him to the hospital?" And she said, "Yeah, they take him to the hospital, but I think he's dead," because she herself physically saw him. She saw his lifeless body, but they're telling her that they're gonna take him to the hospital, and she's telling us that she think he's dead, and so all of us just rushed up onto the police station to see what was going on, and for a long time they wouldn't let any of us get into the cell to see, like none of the family members to see what's going on, and I wasn't sure why they wouldn't want us to go in there. Like it makes no sense. If somebody is hurt or whatnot and they're in the hands of justice, why is it unsafe or bad for the family members to come in to see what's going on? My brother wasn't a criminal also, so I wouldn't know why is that, and he was a young boy. On that day, we waited a long while before they could have taken his body out of the cell, and I was right there in front of the police station, and to see the way my mother was, it was just heartbreaking. To see him actually come out there in a body bag, it was heartbreaking for me, and I just broke down right there. I couldn't hold any emotions. I still didn't want to believe it, but it was just happening right there in my face. Yeah. I couldn't control anything. Young me, I was so upset. I don't know if people have seen the video. I was actually quarreling with the police officers. I couldn't care less if I got shot in my head that day, because that's my brother. Yeah, because my youngest brother. Yeah.
Because if a family member or anybody goes into police custody, you don't expect them to come out of a police lockup, a police station in a body bag.
Right. That's unusual. No way, no how. It could have been a murderer. The police officers have no right to take any kind of matters into their own hands. It doesn't matter what he did. If he did something horrible as killing somebody, the officers still have no right to physically beat somebody to death inside of a prison. That makes no excuse, because I see people on social media, like recently I made a comment. I saw one of the officers who was mainly involved in it, and I was like, this is the officer who killed my brother. Somebody made a comment and say, like, it's what your brother did. Maybe that because that's what I'm like, really? St. Lucians are that ignorant? Things are that horrible in St. Lucia that people actually think like that? You mean to tell me somebody could be murdered by the law because they did something bad? That gives the law no right whatsoever to kill any prisoner or anybody who's done anything bad. It gives you no right unless that they feel like the person is going to cause harm to them. And what harm could my brother have caused? If my brother hanged himself in the police station, Still, what kind of practices we have going on in St. Lucia? How come somebody in a cell have things that they can use to hang themselves in a prison? What is being done about that? About these police officers who let that happen? That makes no sense to me whatsoever at all. It's just
either way,
ridiculous.
either way, the coin rolls on either side. There's still so many unanswered questions. Like you say, if indeed he was found hanging, what sort of investigation has been done to ensure that there is no recurrence when an inmate is in custody, that they have access to material and that to hang themselves, and that they have properly supervised as well. But that is not the case. So on the other flip side of the coin, the magistrate has ruled that he was unlawfully killed in police custody. So what is being done since then to ensure
what is being done about that? It's been like 9 years now. And to make it even worse, the government never came up to us to try to help us at all. Never came to say, I'm sorry this happened, which they should. I find that they should. None of them that was in power at the time, I believe it was maybe Kenny Anthony or so, and they didn't come in. They didn't come to see our family or to say anything on behalf of the police force, because this happened under them. And nobody of big authorities ever came to say anything, and they didn't try to help us neither. And I find that's very poor in St. Lucia, that the government wouldn't be helping people. So, like, why? I would see them helping all kinds of nonsense that makes zero sense whatsoever. But they've never tried to reach out to my family to give us any kind of help or support whatsoever. Not with the funeral, not with our, not with family counseling, none of these things. We don't even have these things going on in St. Lucia, by the way, which is very sad. Very, very sad, and that's why a lot of bad things happening. People ending up killing themselves. People end up trying to take justice into their own hands.
Just yesterday, Isha, we were discussing trauma here on this platform. Well, not yesterday, the day before. And obviously your family was affected by this incident, and you still are impacted by trauma. So at the least, there should have been some official schedule created where you can receive counseling to assist with your how you're coping, your recuperation, and I think even more so and more important to me and is a public apology, and well, not public, but an apology to the family. Somebody should have said, we're sorry your loved one was in a state lockup, a police lockup, and the magistrate has since ruled that he was unlawfully killed, so we apologize, although the apology would not bring back your loved one. But I'm sure that would have made you feel a lot better.
I'm telling you, it would have. Not the corporal, not any of the head of the officers at the time of the place. None of them, nobody said anything. So this is making everything much more suspicious. If nothing bad was happening, why can't someone come and say, sorry that this happened to your family? If my brother if he did hang himself, right? This happened in the cell. There should be some kind of apology as to why this even happened, because it's not supposed to happen in the first place. No person in a cell is supposed to be able to do these things in the cell. You're not supposed to be able to harm yourself in there. Like, what is going on in St. Lucia? A bunch of malcops. What is going on in the cells of St. Lucia? How could somebody kill themselves in a cell, right? And if it happened for real, there should be some kind of apology from the entire police force, I would say.
Yeah.
Because this is just crazy. This has been taking a huge toll on my entire family. I've seen my brothers and sisters in depression and I don't even know how to comfort them, because I don't even know how to take comfort for my own self, or what to do for my own self to try to make myself feel better. Every day I just try my best to go on and move past this. I try to forget, but I can never ever forget that, because everywhere I go, someone will talk to me about it, someone will ask me about it, and I'm seeing nothing is happening. And then I would see these police officers in my eyes, and they will look at me, and I will have this rage inside of me to just want to just attack them myself. And I'm not gonna like to tell you,
we don't want
like
you,
that. It's gonna be like that. I don't know if that's what.
We don't want you to do that. It perhaps is a natural response after suffering the trauma that you have and getting no feedback, no support, no justice from the authorities. It's a natural response, but we know you're bigger than that, Aisha, so continue to be patient and continue to hold your head high. I don't want you to go that extent at all. Talk to us about Chakadan. He wasn't a murderer. What type of individual was he?
He's my brother, my youngest brother of my oldest. I mean, he's older than me, but my youngest of the oldest brothers that I have. And he would be the one that I raised up with the most amongst my two sisters. Who was one before me and one after me. And my brother, it was, I could say like my best friend, because him and we had a good connection. We always used to wrestle with each other, fight over stupid little things. He was a hustler for my mother for sure. Because we grew up in a poor family. I wouldn't like to say it, because Rastafarians, a lot of them grew up in poorness. That's how everybody sees it, and that's how it, because we live with less. And my mother would try and do everything she could to take care of her children. And out of all of my mother's sons, he was the one who helped her the most. He would help her make brooms, go to the countryside to get fruits and vegetables to sell, because we have our own farm as well. And he would go all kinds of places to sell brooms for my mother. Very helpful. I just take away my mother, the one person that was helping my mother the most, because us as little children, we couldn't really do it. The one person that was really helping my mother the most, they take him away from her. And I understood how she was so devastated. I'm getting emotional. But yeah, so he was a hustler at the time. A young hustler, working hard. I wouldn't say my brother was a bad boy. He was, the thing about him, my mother always used to warn him about these friends he have, his bad crowd. Very, very bad crowd. And he wouldn't listen, because like any young child, when they see friends, that's where they want to be. And knowing how we grew up as Rastafarians, we were more pulled away from having friends, and so it was more of like your siblings are your friends. So like being raised this way, making you want to have friends more, want to be more into friends. My brother wasn't hearing about that. He wanted to be with his friends. And it's through a friend that this thing became. It's for a friend, and I wish he had never roamed with these kinds of people. Because as a Rasta, around this time, so everything you do, you with a group, the group person, somebody in your group is a thief, they would look at you first as a Rasta, because you have dreadlocks. Any bad thing is you they're looking at first. Anything that have to do with weed, it doesn't matter if you didn't have anything to do with it and you're rolling around with the people who are doing it, they're gonna definitely look at the Rastafarian first.
Yeah,
I'm sure
there's always been that stigma associated to Rastafarianism, so you're absolutely correct.
Pardon me?
I said there's always been that stigma associated to Rastafarianism, so you're absolutely correct.
It's always been that. It's always been that. My brother wasn't a bad person at all. He was helpful. He was helping people out in the community, helping people do different things. Even the police officer, the female who declared that my brother brushed her and threw up her glasses when he was trying to escape from that cell, because he knew what they wanted to do. He knew what they wanted to do. He knew that they wanted to kill him, because he told us he feel like they want to kill him inside of there. That's why he escaped the day he got the chance to escape. And even her, she was our neighbor. She was our neighbor for a while. She lived in a house, a guest house that was opposite our home, where we were living at the time in the village. And he helped them move into the house for no reason. Like, he just helped them carry the stuff into the house, and so they were all nice with him. So I don't know, my brother was not a bad person. He didn't have many enemies at all. He wasn't a part of a gang. He never had any history of being in the cell. He never had any history of being in a house. He never had any history of going to a hospital even. None of us ever did in my family. None of us ever had history of going to jail, going in a cell, going to hospital for any crazy reasons. At the point in time, none of us ever had any experience in any of these things. Never been to a madhouse. So Tell me why would a young person who's never been through any of these things would want to kill themselves, hang themselves in a cell? That makes completely no sense. And I don't know how the government or the jury doesn't see that.
Yeah.
Why is it taking so long to see what was what?
But the magistrate who ruled over the inquest have thrown that out the window. Magistrate Innocent has said that Chakadan did not commit suicide. He was unlawfully killed while in police custody. So that argument is out the window. Not that it has any bearing on the call for justice, which is needed, but to provide some context and some background for people who may not be aware of the particulars of this story. What led to his initial incarceration?
All right, so it's like they said there's proof, but nothing is physically being done. And this is crazy that you could get to see that murderer and his accomplices. You get to see them every single day. You get this. That's just depressing. Yeah, imagine my mother seeing these people, seeing that fella.
Let me ask.
Right there in her.
I understand, Aisha, but let me ask the question again. Perhaps you didn't hear me. What led to Chakadan's incarceration, the initial incarceration on or before the 22nd of October?
Okay. So what we heard from him when he got arrested, the day that my mother was visiting him, and when he escaped, he came to us, and then he went to his dad's place. What he was telling us that they arrested him, we got to know he was arrested because he was at a friend's house at the time, and the friend was growing marijuana plants in his yard or whatnot. And I do not know how the police knew or whatnot, but they came to the house and they ended up arresting the both of them. Right? So they arrested the both of them. Apparently the guy who it was his house, he was arrested, and then they were going through court because they were going through court, and my brother wouldn't go to the court because he didn't do nothing. He didn't feel like he did anything, and he was scared because the first time they arrested him, they did beat him up the first time. They cut off all his dreads. Who does that? Who does that? My brother came home and he had no dreads. I was like, what? Like, what happened to you? What happened? And he had to go to the hospital after that day. He escaped from the cell. I don't know how he managed to do it, but I saw he was seen they were trying to kill him that day, and he escaped. He managed to have escaped from the cell, and they cut off all his dreadlocks. Yeah, from that time I look at my brother and I was like, he's somebody different. Like, what are they trying to do to him? And that was the last time I actually spoke to him, because when he came to see us, he then left and went to somewhere he felt that it would be safe for him, which is by his father's place, up to the north side. When he did that, a couple of days after, I believe one of the police officers, a female, she saw him, and then she reported where she saw him, and then they went to get him and arrest him and bring him back to the cell. I believe my mother went to see him the night and told him she was coming back to see him the next day or so. And the next day after,
she saw him come out in a body bag.
Pardon me?
She saw him come out in a body bag, not the way that she had.
Yeah, that was basically it.
Yeah. So basically, Aisha, your brother lost his life. He was killed, according to Magistrate Innocent, for ganja, for marijuana, for weed. Yeah. And 9 years after, we're promoting the same ganja, we're making money off the same marijuana. And just yesterday, we have government finance conferences for the same herb. And a young man lost his life, according to the information, for cultivating marijuana.
Yep. And it's crazy. It wasn't even his home, and it wasn't his. Imagine the boy said it was his. It's his home. He said it was his, right? The boy did his time in prison for that. and my brother is in the ground for nothing. So I don't believe that that is the real reason why he was murdered. I believe that they had something against my brother, because there was a young police officer involved in this, a young guy, and I've seen him in the community, and he's very short tempered. He's very, very short tempered, and I don't believe people like this should be in the police force at all whatsoever. And even now more than ever, I'm seeing a lot of young persons joining the police force, and I'm starting to think that's a horrible practice for St. Lucia. You cannot have young people joining the police force. That's not supposed to be. Those young little crazy little fellas out there. You want to tell me because my brother brushed off your sister, you wanted to physically put your hands on my brother and beat him up to death? Tell me how it explains he had broken ribs. He had a concussion. He had a deep, I believe it was an inch to his skull. How was he able to do that himself? And then a police officer in the court would say, which is so ridiculous. How could you tell me whilst you were untying whatever he hanged himself from, he fell and his skull managed to hit your big toe, and that's probably why he got that on it. Why didn't your toe get crushed?
Yeah.
Makes zero sense whatsoever. Somebody's toe could give somebody a whole inch to the skull.
Yeah.
That makes no sense whatsoever. And that is why it gets me so angry when I see these guys out there. It gets me super angry.
Well, their reports and their stories didn't stick. According to Magistrate Innocent, he was unlawfully killed. I should just hold on for me a minute. My producers, let's put the graphic on screen, please. One of many, our first, so that we can perhaps give our viewers who don't know an understanding of what we're talking about when we say unlawful police killing. So just hold on for me. 1 minute, Aisha. Let's bring that information across to our audience, and then
sure.
we continue
Sure.
our discussion. Here, Sunday is going to be the 9-year anniversary since the Magistrate Robert Innocent ruled that Chakadan Daniel was unlawfully killed while in custody at the Micoud Police Station. The family is still in search of justice. If it is available, my good technicians, we could put it up right away, please, so that we can give our viewers a better appreciation of what it is that we say was unlawful police killing. Thanks so much, guys. Unlawful police killings would include unwarranted or excessive and often illegal use of force against civilians by police officers. That result in the death of a civilian from police brutality have ranged from assault and battery, example beatings, to mayhem, torture, and murder. It may branch off from harassment, including false arrest, intimidation, and verbal abuse, among other forms of mistreatment. Let's go with that again. Unlawful police killings would include unwarranted or excessive and often illegal use of force against civilians by police officers that result in the death of said civilian from police brutality have ranged from assault and battery, example beatings, to mayhem, torture, and murder. It may branch off from harassment, including false arrest, intimidation, and verbal abuse. Thanks for that. Aisha, when you hear and I'm sure you know what it is, what it means for your brother to have lost his life unlawfully at the Micoud Police Station, it goes contrary to what service the police should have really be providing to a community, what we expect police officers to do, and how they should serve.
Right. It gave me a totally different view of the police. I mean, after me already growing up in a Rastafarian family, I did not like the police at all because of how they treated people like us. How they would just look at people like us, and then they will just mix us up with everybody who has dreadlocks, who's doing bad things, and exclude our religion. and just look at people who have dreadlocks are bad people, or people who just smoke for nothing or no reason. So, like, hearing this and seeing this has happened, it's just goes to show you that the St. Lucian Police Force is full of a bunch of malcops, bad cops, and bad practice, and they need a lot of training, proper training before they actually let somebody become a police officer into the police force. And that's how I see it.
Yeah.
It's just awful training.
Yeah.
Because they have to find the training from somewhere to become how they are, or to be how loose, or feel like they just have the authority to take things into their own hands. It's just very, very bad and very poor here in St. Lucia.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
And it's unfortunate every time these matters happen, because let's be honest, Isha, and you are an honest individual as well. Not all police officers are bad, so the entire Royal St. Lucia Police Force is not bad. But when you have incidents like that which happened, and then there is no justice, nothing is being done to ensure justice and to prevent a recurrence, that is the dangerous thing, which paints the entire force, the good officers, in a bad light. So
Yes.
that is where it's very unfortunate.
Yep. Yes. That's so true. It's like, to see this thing is prolonging for 9 years and nothing is really being done. So it's putting a bad light on all police officers, especially those in St. Lucia. And I'm seeing other things are happening to other families, similar things, and nothing is being done for them as well. The other people, they need justice as well. With all of this, the government really needs to put in the work with the St. Lucian Police Force. They need to put in the work. Mm-hmm. They need to be there and put in the work for the people, because if you cannot feel safe by the people who are supposed to be here to protect you, what kind of country are we even running? What kind of country are we even running? Forget everything else. Everything else, the government's already taken for granted with the people. If we cannot have the people who are supposed to be here to protect us, protecting us, and not the ones are promoting violence, I would say, what kind of country are we running? What message are we sending for the younger children? It's sad that a lot of St. Lucians, that they don't make big noise about these things, because some people do, and most of the people who do is the people who are victims of these kinds of things, or people who have family members who've been victimized and such on. They're the ones who are making noise about it, but you will not see the entire country, trying to come forward and try to stop this until it happens to somebody in their family, until it happens to them. And they're making big noise about other things that makes no sense. It's like they don't want their children, the trend of the future, to be protected properly. If you cannot be protected by your police officers, nobody could protect you but yourself, and you just want to be like you're in a game where you have to try your best to survive, because you have bad boys out there trying to kill you. You have other people trying to fight you down. You have crazy accidents happening. You have people, foreigners, to come here and do whatever they want to do, because as far as I'm seeing it, the St. Lucian Police Force is weak, very weak. And then you have them, they can't protect you. They can't do nothing for you. So it's just sad.
It appears so when you have no immediate action, or appears that there's no desire to bring matters like the Chakadan Daniel case to closure. It appears just
something else.
Yeah, just how you painted
it.
It appears so sadly.
Like the same way they were fast to just go to that house and arrest my brother and his friend. Why can't they just be fast on other things? They can't. They can never ever be fast on other things.
And it's not too late for those who wield the keys of power now to bring closure to this matter. It's not too late. If you have an interest in human rights, if you really have an interest in putting people first and in people on a whole, it's not too late, even though you were not the ones presiding over the governance or presiding over the Royal St. Lucia Police Force or the DPP's office during the period when the incident happened. If you really have an interest in people and you are in authority now to bring closure, it's not too late to do so. An apology as well would also be
Right. It's not too late. It's
Would
not
also
too
be
late.
accepted by the family of Chakadan Daniel. His sister we speaking to now. Aisha, your family, you met recently with the parliamentary commissioner just last week, if I'm correct. How did that engagement go? What happened?
I don't think I was there at the time that that happened. I wasn't there at the time.
Okay. Your mom hasn't
Yes.
spoken to you since that engagement, no?
No, she haven't spoken to me about it.
Okay.
So the way I have a job, I work in
Yeah.
entertainment, so I'm usually not home all the time,
Yeah.
and so I don't really see them often as possible as
Yeah.
I would want to. So she haven't had that conversation with me as yet.
Right. Do you know whether or not the family has filed your wrongful death case since Magistrate Innocent has made his ruling?
Pardon me?
Have your family filed the wrongful death case since Magistrate Innocent's ruling?
My mom is in the process of doing it. At first, she tried to get a lawyer. I believe it's Mr. Greens to help her through with this, and then he himself was prolonging this, which I don't even know why he was. We felt a bit of trust in him, which we lost. He was prolonging this, was trying to help my mother do this, and then he became the DPP. So then he wasn't able to do this case as well, and was trying to give my mother to a different lawyer, which is kind of been going a bit off for her right now. But this is what she's trying to do right now.
Aisha, the individual who maybe started championing that case on behalf of your brother was your deceased father. It's extremely sad that he's not here and that he passed on without justice coming for your brother Chakadan.
Yeah, he's not my father, but he's my brother's father. We don't share the same father.
Thank you.
But it is very, very sad, yes, because he himself was fighting for this as well. He was fighting for this. He was really, really fighting to see that his son got justice. This was heartbreaking. The last time he saw his son was the day that they came to collect his son from his house, and then that was just it. So it's very heartbreaking to see that he didn't get to see the justice, the day of justice, but he fought. And I'm glad he put in some work into it as well.
Yeah.
Because the last time you see your son that's the last time he saw his son, like physically alive, when they came to collect him, when the police officers came to arrest him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does justice look in your mind? Paint the picture of justice for me in your mind. What would you like to see the outcome of this matter be?
I'd like to see a huge change in the police officers who are working. I want to see them go to prison because they're supposed to be arrested for this, taken away, especially the persons who were involved in beating my brother, which is murder, manslaughtering him. I want to see them arrested and behind bars for a very long time. And some kind of commission has to be brought for this to my family, as well as an apology from the entire police St. Lucian force, whoever is in charge, and the government of St. Lucia. And some kind of commission has to come from this because the family cannot be in separation for so long over this at all. It's a depression on the entire family. And this is caused by the police force of St. Lucia, the government's police force, of some place where we live. We cannot be living in a country and our government is having us under depression over things that they can't control. We cannot control what they're doing or what's going on in this system. They could control it though. It's one family of many other families this is happening to. It's unlawful killings and unlawful doings of police officers. I'm not seeing they're taking any initiative to see the family, or my family I would say, and try to do something. Something needs to be done about this. This is what I want to see. I want to see something done. I want to see these guys being bars. I want to see them pay for what they did to my brother, and some kind of commission needs to be given from the government and an apology as well. This is justice for me.
Yeah, just hold on for me, Aisha. My learned friend Nigel Tuesday, who is on the Facebook Live. Guide me, Nigel. In other jurisdictions, would the officers who had presided on duty that day, would they still be employed at the state level, or would they have been dismissed pending an investigation? Guide me, Nigel, with your learned experience. There would these officers still be on active duty today in other jurisdictions while this family still holds and awaits for justice. Our phone lines are also open: 4500 777 4500 and you could also connect with us via the Flow WhatsApp platform as well: 58406 5840600. We're speaking of Isha Daniel. Isha is the sister of Chakadan Daniel. Her family still in search of justice 9 years after the Magistrate Robert Innocent ruled that Chacadan was killed unlawfully while at the Micoud Police Station. Aisha, just a few more for me, and then we'll wait if there are any calls as well. This Sunday, what's the plan for Sunday in Micoud as you come again another year with no justice?
My mother wants to, host a little event in memory of my brother, and she wants to invite all those who want to come to support to where we live on top of the hill in your extension, Micoud, and whoever wants to come to support and who wants to come and share their stories as well, because I know there have been persons who've had some stories like these, or who's been wrongly mistreated against the law. You guys could come and give your stories and share it. Sometimes it's good to talk to people who's been through the same thing or worse. So guys, feel free to come over and support and share your stories as well. So this is basically what she wants to do, something in memory for my brother, and she does try to do it every year of the date. So basically this is what she's trying to do on Sunday.
Yeah, and we want to encourage like-minded and like-hearted citizens who share in this purpose and who share in this cause to go on out to Micoud and be with the family. If you yourself has suffered a similar matter where your call for justice has been moving at an extremely snail pace, like many families here on St. Lucia, it's an excellent opportunity for you to come and join the Daniel family as well this Sunday as they commemorate 9 years. Aisha, the former magistrate Nigel Tuesday has responded, and I'll get your reactions to her response next. She says that kind of killing while in custody, plus the magistrate's ruling, should have dictated that the officers had to be relieved from duty. Coming in from former magistrate Nigel Tuesday, your reactions?
It's crazy because they're still working, and after that happened, they were only shifted to a different place. They were still working. Maybe they were on some kind of leave for a week or two, but they were back at work. They're still working till a day like today. I see them. I recently just saw a video of one of the youngest ones who were mainly involved in it. I just saw a video of him mishandling a young man who was stealing in a place with a long rifle in his hand. Some of these things are really off, the way they approach, the police officers approach people, it's very wrong. It's not a good image for St. Lucia at all. And so they're still working, and why is that? That's a problem as well. Should we sue for this thing as well? Why are they still working?
Yeah. Well, your
Why
brother,
do they still get to be working? That is crazy.
all that while your brother's life has been cut short. Contribution now on our Flow WhatsApp platform. A writer says, "Good morning. I understand the family's pain, but it's time for the police to go to jail. I bet the officers and them still getting paid. It's time St. Lucia law system speed up the progress." Very, 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 very stark reality. The pace for justice moves too slow here on the island. If ever you get justice, it takes way too long.
Way too long, way too long.
For justice to come. Aisha, but when you of course you can't look into the future, but your brother would have been a fine gentleman in your mind today if he was still alive.
He would have. He never had the chance to really leave, I would say, because he was very young 20-year-old. You know, and you know, when you're in your 20s, this is where you really get to live and do things that you want to do as a young person. So they took all of that from him. They took it away from him. He never had the chance to leave. And we always one day hoped that he would have a child so I can be an aunt. And that's just not happening at all. He would have been a fine young man up to a day like today. He never had any problems with anybody, I would say. He never had any real issues with people. He would still be here helping my mother. Maybe we would have done a lot more things that we want to do as a family, like build a proper home. Maybe we would have been able to do that because he was a huge help for the family. I would say my mom has 10 children, and most of her children they branched off and have left to go and do their own thing. From the 10, there were 5 of us that were still with my mom. One of my older sisters who was a nursing at the time, doing her little stuff, and I had him, a sister after him, and then there's me, and then there's my youngest sister. So he was the one helping the most because he's the boy in the house. So he's the one who was really helping the most to try to bring the bread to the table. And a lot of things was a struggle for us. And after that, even more struggle. We had to do a funeral. It took a long while before we could have buried him because we didn't know where we could have actually got proper funds to do this funeral. And I don't come from a strong supportive family background. I mean, I have family members, but they're not strongly supportive at all. It's just my mother and my household family. So it was very tough. It became even more tough. And me trying to go through life every day. Everywhere I go, somebody knows me already. They already know me because of my story. Because of my brother's story. Like the story of my family story. Everybody already knows me. It's depressing. I've never ever taken any kind of counseling for this kind of thing. But I try to counsel my own self and I try to fight my way through living and have this in my heart still. It's like a heavy weight on my chest. Every day I want justice for my brother. Every day it's like that. And other people, they wouldn't know about that. They wouldn't know and truly know how I feel until they go through something like this. People will be out there and try to make their own kinds of opinions of what happened, or maybe try to paint a bad image that maybe my brother was a bad person because, and I know it's only because he was a Rastafarian. Because I didn't be in a different story. Because the other guy who got arrested was actually arrested for what my brother and him were arrested for, the one who actually did time in prison, who said it was his stuff at his house. No one's talking about him. Nobody's talking about him. He wasn't Rastafarian, but no one's saying that this is the person who actually did the bad thing. They're still saying like it's my brother who did the bad thing. And if somebody does something as bad as murdering somebody, it gives absolutely no police officer any right to kill somebody when they arrest them.
And
gives you no right
whatsoever. And murder was not the allegation here. It was alleged that they were cultivating cannabis, cultivating marijuana, that they're now prepared to legalize and cash in on as a state. Aisha, this case, your brother's case, Chakadan's case, has been reported several times by the U.S. State Department for Human Rights. And yet still no settlement from us. What does it say about us and our approach to human rights as a country?
It's like they don't care about us. It's like the government doesn't really care about us. They only care about themselves. And that's how I've seen it from growing up. This is how I've seen it all my life. I don't think like the government care about us. And this is why I would never work for the government. Never, ever. I would never work for them because it's crazy how They treat us as a people, even other than any of what we're talking about. They don't care about us as a people for a lot of certain things, and a lot of situations they're not protesting against these things at all, which is crazy. Me
Yeah.
as one person, I cannot be saying yeah, yeah, or me and 10 other persons saying yeah, it's horrible, and 10 people can't do a protest. It has to take the entire island to raise this issue, and and try to push these crazy people out of there who's trying to run this country.
Yeah.
It says that they don't care. It's like your life doesn't matter.
And until you act, my good man and my good lady who is drawing that top salary in government, until you act, citizens will continue to believe that you don't care. So the ball is in your court to act and to show some sensitivity to the issues that matter most to the citizenry of this country. And the Chakadan Daniel case is not the only one. I should just hold on. Another contribution on the WhatsApp platform. Good morning, the writer says. Don't understand what's going on with law and order in our country. My niece was raped and killed. Miss Joseph, Valinda Joseph, we all recall Valinda's case as well. It will be 20 years this December. No justice up until now. They put her own father in jail, which is my brother, and it's been so long for the family. No justice in that matter as well. So Chakadan Daniel is just maybe one of hundreds,
One of many.
hundreds, and it's
And this is why we're
embarrassing
not
to
going
say
to
that,
stop.
it's extremely embarrassing. And perhaps these are some of the things that should be highlighted when we go to the UN General Assembly and when we fly across the world on taxpayers' revenue. Both administrations, all politicians, these are some of the things we really should tag on your bags, and tag on your jackets and dresses as well for the female government officials when they go out. These are some of the matters unclosed, matters which matter to your citizens, but there's no action on your part, and you continue to jet set in the name of putting people first. Aisha, you think if the surname was not Daniel and some other surname, you would have gotten justice by now?
Probably, yeah. If it wasn't Daniel and if he wasn't a Rastafarian and have a different family with a good surname, probably with a good surname, I would say, because there are people out there with not my same surname and they're having crazy stories just like this as well, and they're still not getting justice for their families. So I'm sure if he had a good surname in one of those big company, if he was related to Sadu, this would be done for them already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, somebody's also suggesting that that you should proceed with some haste to file that wrongful death lawsuit case against the DPP's office. I'm not alone, a gentleman, but we take the advice. Our platforms are open as well. 4500777, 4500777, and 5840600, the Flow WhatsApp platform as well. We're speaking to Aisha Daniel. Aisha still has some time with us. You let us know, Aisha, if you have to go. But this is in fact an important issue, so as much time as we can focus on it and draw public attention to this call for justice, we will continue. We will continue with
Sure.
this heart-wrenching story of your family. You're not the only sibling of Chakadan. What impact have you seen this case and this matter, which continues to draw on, have on the younger ones?
Can you say that again?
I said that you're not the only sibling of Chakadan. What sort of impact have you seen this long and drawn out case have on the younger siblings of the family?
So I have a younger sister, and we're currently taking care of my niece and my twin nephews. At the time, we basically raised them, yeah. And none of them couldn't understand what was like. Why is this happening? They couldn't understand as they were growing up and it happened. They couldn't understand why it happened, and why is nothing being done about it, and why are we as the adults are so sad every time because they could have, I'm sure they could have seen, they could have definitely seen on my older siblings. It's changed them. They turned them into something else. Um, but you know, as younger ones, they will not really understand what is really going on. So they will just see things how they are, but they will not understand what was going on. As they get older, they start to understand better what is going on, and they themselves are really angry about this, and still they want justice as well.
Yeah.
But I would say it took a toll on my older siblings as well as me. I see my brother, one of my brothers, I see him turn into a drunken over this. He turned into a, like I would say, he did turn into a drunken over that. He was never the one to be drinking alcohol so much. And it's after my brother's death, I see that's just what he turned to. He turned straight to alcohol, which is crazy. This is happening to somebody. He turned to alcohol. At the point in time, I became one of these people who used to cut themselves over this because I was so angry at the world and angry at St. Lucia and the government and police force and everybody else who just looking at me. I was into a depression mood, and it's I see my sister who's in this. At the point in time, she was pregnant, and that would have been a lot of stress for her. And I could have seen that she wasn't herself anymore. She was very sad, very 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 sad, trying to hold on, trying to be happy because she can't be too sad since she's pregnant. My other sister, I have an elder sister, my first sister, my mom's first child. She herself, I see it broke her down. She started losing weight. I see a lot of changes in all of my siblings over that time. And even to myself, I fell into a depression mood for a long time. I used to cry for years, just cry and cry, cry. And I just wanted my brother back, and I wanted justice. He's never coming back. He's never coming back at all. And it's my mom who's broke me down the most because they took her best handson, who was there by her all along, all through, helping her do what we had to do as a family to take care of ourselves. And I know this thing is because we come from Rastafarian family and we're somewhat poor to the world. That's why I don't know. I believe they want to take some kind of advantage and believe that we're not going to do anything about it. No. Maybe we might go silent for a while and try to bear this thing in, try to take it in to try and move on with life and try to do certain things. But every year, this day we will come back to.
Isha is still with us. We're speaking with Isha Daniel. She is the sister of Chakadan. Will rejoin us on the Flow video platform in a bit. Isha, you still there with us? You seem to have an interruption in that connection. It should be restored momentarily again. If you want to contribute, if you want to share an opinion or ask a question, several ways that you can do so. You can join us via the Flow WhatsApp platform 45. That's 5840600, 5840600, and the Flow landline. We have to connect with her again, DeAndre. The Flow landline 00777 4500777. Very interesting discourse. We still have some time left with Isha on this Free Up Friday edition of the program. But if you're just joining us, Katie, let's give our viewers some background information. If you're just joining us and if you're not familiar with the case, Katie, we'll just go ahead and give them some background on the morning of Wednesday, October the 23rd. The family of Chakadan Daniel, he was 22 at the time, resident of a back street in Micoud. This family was informed that police had found him dead while he was in custody in the Micoud Police Station. That morning, angry relatives, they converged outside the police station as his lifeless body was being brought out in the pouring rain, and police placed the body in the vehicle bound for the morgue. Police later announced that Daniel was found hanging from his cell after he had been arrested 2 days prior for escaping lawful custody, assaulting a police officer, and damaging property related to a police investigation for marijuana cultivation. Chakadan Daniel was scheduled to make an appearance at the 2nd District Court in Dennery on Wednesday, October 23rd, the day he most likely took his final breath. That night before, one family member had made a desperate call to Daniel's lawyer, claiming that his brother feared the worst would happen at the infamous now Micoud Police Station, where numerous allegations of police beatings have been reported over the years. A post-mortem to determine the exact cause of death was held on Friday. The Friday, I think it was the 25th or the 26th of October that year, by pathologist Dr. Stephen King. The family of Daniel had requested the presence of an independent doctor during that post-mortem, and the family's request was granted. The family was represented by Dr. McDonald Chase during that post-mortem viewing and procedure by Dr. Stephen King. So just some background information if you don't too well know the Chakadan Daniel case. Perhaps now you have a better appreciation of the details surrounding his demise. Isha is back on with us. Isha, I think you were making a very important point before you left off.
Yeah. Saying like how it just really took a really bad toll on my entire family. And I really wish that the government of St. Lucia really looked into this. Like if if that was the case that he hanged himself, right? It's under you guys, and they should have really looked into it and check on the family. They never did. They never did, so they would never know how we were feeling. And then I would see on the news how when people who commit suicide and so on, the government is posting, like, people are saying, like, what is happening in St. Lucia? Why are people doing this to themselves? But sometimes they're the ones causing it. Like in this case, any one of us could have committed suicide, like my mother, even especially my mom, because this really took a really bad toll onto her. She was out of her mind, ballistic as to what she's gonna do, and we were literally trying to calm my mother down the whole time for a while, and then she just became silent all during the time before my brother was buried. My mother was just silent, and we didn't know what to say or what to do or how to confront her sometimes, because we've never been through this. We've never had any deaths in our family. That's my first death in my family. And that was my brother. That was my first. I didn't even want to go to the funeral because I didn't know how to feel. And I didn't know what I would have done. But I did. Somehow managed to get me to go to the funeral. And I had to say a few words which I couldn't even say. It was too much for me. It's a lot for me and my family. Yeah. So all my siblings have been affected by it. And I'm sure his siblings on his father's side has been majorly affected by this as well. Yeah.
But when you see Aisha, the way that the family has held together and the way that you've remained strong, it just is evidence of the strength of the Daniel family, and perhaps it shows it's contrary to any perception that one may hold that Chakadan would have hung himself, coming from such a strong family background at age 22 in his prime.
That would never be.
Contrary.
Never ever be.
Been the contrary.
Never.
Picture. Are you any but optimistic that one day, hopefully soon, you will get justice in any shape or form?
My mother's brains. My mother needs to be at rest. So she needs to be at peace with this, because she's not. My brother in heaven up there, he's not at peace with this. It's definitely, my entire family is not at peace at all. Especially, like, imagine you growing up as a Rastafarian, and you've been bullied throughout your life for having dreadlocks or believing in a certain religion, and you even have the police force bullying you as well. People you feel are supposed to protect you, bullying you, coming to your home, invading your home, stealing your house upside down for no reason. It happened to me as a little girl. I see police officers coming to my mother's house with big guns right there in our faces and ask all of us to just, including the children, to get down on our knees to do a house search as a child. Tell me, this is not something that's not supposed to be happening in any kind of country, any kind of place. Police officers should have respect for people to do things the right way. A couple times they would think like we are just dumb people, dumb poor people, and we're not, because they think we don't know anything about warrants and these things. They would try to come and search our home with no warrants. I'm like, no, we have education. We actually do have education. So where's your warrant? You cannot just come and search the house for no reason just because we're Rastafarians and you are police. So is that a police against Rasta kind of thing? You're just gonna come there and just turn people's house upside down. And you have police officers bullying your entire life. You have your people, your people, you're St. Lucian, you have other St. Lucians bullying you as a child. You grow up, you have police officers bullying you because you have dreadlocks, and then they're killing you. It's crazy. You feel like you cannot live in this country. Honestly, I feel like this a lot of the time. Like I cannot live in this country anymore. And I'm yet to leave. I've never left St. Lucia. Young man, I wish my brother had a chance to. Maybe if he had a chance to live here, things wouldn't go that way for him at all. At all.
Sadly, hundreds of other young people just like you, Aisha, feel the very same way. They feel closed in, they feel cramped, they feel appreciated and stifled in this country. Yet we continue to celebrate independence, we continue to celebrate development, but you have this very important segment of our population, the youth, who feel this way, exactly how Aisha feels. If you're in that office up there and you think that it's not the case, you absolutely, your head is in the clouds or somewhere that it really should not be. Aisha, what is your final message to the authorities, to the state, and to St. Lucia, few hours away from another anniversary since it was concluded by a magistrate that your brother was killed?
Okay, well, firstly, I want to say to everybody else, to everybody who's actually truly and heartfully trying to help us get with this, I want to say thank you to you guys on behalf of my entire family, on behalf of Chakadan. He's not here to speak for himself. But I want to say thank you to you guys who's really out there trying to help us, to the magistrate who's actually trying to see the truth for what it is. And I want to say that this needs to be over with, and it needs to be over with really fast. We cannot prolong this for too long anymore. We cannot let years again pass on this. His mother, our mother, she's still alive now. His father passed away and he didn't get to see the justice. She needs to see it. She needs to see it, and she needs to be alive to see it. The entire family wants to see it. So I want to see this happening. I want for the important people who are watching this to push this through and help get through this. And these police officers really need to be arrested for what they did. They need to be held accountable for what they did. The government needs to give some kind of commission for this. Something needs to be done about this. And I believe that the government of St. Lucia needs to look into this and reach out. Or should really reach out, because we need y'all to reach out. We need the support. We need to see that we have a supporting government system, at least at this point now, because for a long time I didn't see it. At least since this new re-election, I want to see who is in powers right now to reach out to this family and other families out there who are going through similar things. And I also want to say to the public and those of you who are going through things like this, any sort of kind of violence, lost somebody to some kind of violence or so, or has lost someone who was murdered by anybody, doesn't even have to be the police force. I want y'all to hold on strong. Keep on holding in there. I know some of y'all haven't found justice, but keep on fighting for that person who's deceased. Keep on fighting for them, because they would want you to be fighting for them. They really want that. Nobody wants to be dead and not know the cause, or if someone murder them, to not let these people pay. They need to pay for it. So hold on strong. hold on strong. And anybody who feels that they can help, reach out to us.
Aisha, I want to thank you for holding on strong, especially this morning. I know it was difficult for you to hold back on those chairs. Let me assure you that it's okay for you to cry whenever you're in your private space. You were affected, you've lost a loved one, so it may feel better, help you feel better to let out those tears. But thank you for remaining strong this morning. And thank you for representing your brother and your family so well.
Of course. Yes, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Our hope as well is that your family receives justice in the very, very shortest period of time. If we are going to continue to progress as a nation, whatever yardstick you want to measure that progress, we have to begin by addressing these human rights violations which continue to hover over our destination, our home that we call St. Lucia. Isha, thanks again, and we wish you and your family all the best on Sunday in your quest for justice.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
You're most welcome, sister of Chakadan Daniel, in a very telling and chilling interview this morning on the heels of another anniversary since it was agreed by Magistrate Robert Innocent after all his investigation and deliberations that Chakadan was unlawfully killed while in that police lockup. We're sticking on this story, so let's just play the news report from Geneva again, former Hot 7 news reporter who spoke with Chakadan's mom, and we will play that story again. Then I will share with you some details from the magistrate's ruling, exclusive details from Magistrate Robert Innocent's ruling. Magistrate Tusi, I'm not sure, former Magistrate Tusi, I'm not sure if you want to come in on this matter. Perhaps you can elucidate us further on the possible next steps towards closure. I'm not sure if you want to come in on this, but it will be very interesting. We're going to continue the discussion. We'll share these exclusive files with you momentarily. But let's go back to January of this year. Former Hot 7 news reporter Genevieve Gonzague speaking with Chakadan Daniel's mom on the sad and unfortunate killing of Chakadan while at the Micoud Police Station.
The story of Chakadan Daniel has been one that has haunted many for the last 9 years. To date, the family says they feel like they are still living in a nightmare. On October 23, 2013, police say they found 22-year-old Chakadan Daniel suspended in his cell at the Micoud Police Station. Daniel had been arrested for escaping custody, assaulting an officer, and damaging property. The post-mortem revealed that Daniel had died from asphyxiation and that he had a head contusion. His death sparked much outrage in the public domain, and in 2014, the family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the RSLPF. More than 1 year later, on July 24, 2015, an inquest declared that Daniel was in fact unlawfully killed. The case of Chakadan Daniel for years had been dragging on, but in 2018, some 6 officers who were attached to the Micoud Police Station at the time of Daniel's death were brought in for questioning. Almost 9 years later, the mother of Daniel, Frances Daniel, says her family is to this day still haunted by the particulars of the case. According to her, Daniel was her 7th out of 10 children, and they shared a special bond. She says the family is continuing its quest for justice, and they will not stop.
We are all demanding for an answer because they have a lot of questions to be answered. And as a single parent, I lost my son. And I'm demanding for justice. And I never give up and never give up to get justice for him. And my family, even I myself, have bad dreams of thinking of violence. So I want the law of St. Lucia to look into that matter, because I don't want no violence. But if the law say they want peace, if you need peace, you must seek for justice, because there will not be no justice, no peace if there is no justice.
The now Director of Public Prosecution, Dasrin Green, at the time, was the attorney representing the Daniel family. It was under his orders that the 2015 inquest into the RSLPF was undertaken. Daniel, however, has accused Green of dropping her case since his appointment as DPP.
Mr. Green, he was my lawyer, but he told me he's no more my lawyer again after they had him as a DPP. And now he's the DPP. I've been walking on up and down, up and down, up and down. And he's not doing nothing about it, just promising me and lying to me. And the people keep on asking me what happened. Everybody asking me. I keep on telling them, but they want to know. So I've come here today to tell the people what's going on. And I want the government of St. Lucia to look into that matter, because I'm sick and I'm tired. I'm sick of that. And I can't take any more again. So I'd like the government of St. Lucia to do something about it, because there was an inquest and the jury said that they found that the policemen were guilty of unlawful killing. So if there was unlawful killing, why are they not arresting them and charging them?
She says her family has sought to find another attorney to continue their journey to justice.
About 2 months back, I went to see him. He told me he have a lawyer for him. I tell him I don't want any more lawyer, because so long he never give me a lawyer. So I don't want any lawyer. I have my lawyer. He asked me who. I didn't remember the name to tell him, so I didn't tell him who.
According to her, the criminal justice system continues to fail her family, and she fears she is at her wit's end. She recalls that her son's killing put a target on her family, and she says she is exhausted. Daniel's father, Alan Inglis, who has since passed, played an instrumental role in ensuring that the case was brought to the public. Daniel says more than enough time has passed for closure to be given to her family.
If there is a law for Dick, there has to be a law for John. So I maintain that, and I want to see that something happen, because I'm getting frustrated, depressed, and desperate to do. Even my whole life is at risk. And again, I'm saying, there was a man, an ex-police that said he was there when they was killing Chakadan. He stopped me in Vieux-Fort a day, and he told me he's going to kill me because I go on news. So I still have my life to be feared with him. And I went to court with him, and all the magistrate said to him was to tell me he's sorry. And that was all. And I did not accept that, but I had no choice.
The news team placed multiple calls to the DPP's office. However, as of news time, was unable to get in contact with him.
So how much longer, St. Lucia? How much longer? And how many more mothers and parents, families have to go through the same experience like Chakadan Daniel's mother and Chakadan Daniel's family? How many more? And how much longer can and must this family wait for justice? A learned friend, former Magistrate Tusa, in an interview recently, did explain that justice is a process and it takes a while. It's not fast, but this long, St. Lucia, with no apparent end in sight, and we've signed on to various human rights conventions. We have a government, we're paying people to represent us, to solve our problems. This cannot be right. Our phone lines are open, 4500777. Come in on the discussion if you choose to. The Flow WhatsApp line is also open as well, 5840600. You can call us in audio or video and can engage you this morning on this matter. To proceed with the discussion, let me now share with you some exclusive details and insight into the magistrate's ruling. Magistrate Robert Innocent, the learned gentleman who is now based in London, England, continue our efforts to reach out to him. He has ruled on this matter, and he's said that the young man, aged 22, who was brought into the Micoud Police Station, a place we expect to be to be safe. If you ask me, if I'm unsafe and I want to feel safe, I go to a police station. So the place that you expect to feel safe, the Magistrate Innocent, the learned gentleman, has ruled that a citizen of St. Lucia who wore dreadlocks was unlawfully killed while at the Micoud Police Station. So let me just share with you some insight now. My good producers, we can put it on screen as soon as you're ready. From that ruling by Magistrate Robert Innocent again, and we await your engagement on the various platforms via the Flow WhatsApp platform and via the landline as well. So that front copy was just to show the veracity of the information that we're about to delve into. So that shows you exactly that it is legitimate documentation. You had a panel of 5 jurors who were called into action by the legal process. So you had some 5 jurors who were called into action. Just stay with me, St. Lucia. It's a live show on the 24th day of July, 2015. Handing down their ruling. If you can just zoom into the bottom, that portion that's highlighted in yellow, Danley, I know it will take you some time, but we can hold on for you to live program as well. The jurors, it's not necessary for us to divulge their names, but yeah, the decision by the jury, as you see highlighted there, unlawful killing. So let me see if I could just come back. You can come back out. You can come back out now, Danley, and keep it on screen for me. You can zoom out and just keep it on screen. So the jurors said that having inquired into when, where, and after what manner Chakadan Daniel came to his death, do say that the finding of the jury as unlawful killing. The document is a bit aged, so you bear with us. It's been a while since the judgment was handed down. We can move on to the next one. It's getting hotter. I thought that was the last one. There wasn't one more. That's fine. That's fine. So you can see for yourselves. Just zoom in a bit, Danley, if you can. So that's fine. We will end with this one. I wanted to leave the, okay, no problem. I wanted to end with this one, but that's fine. St. Lucia, this photo will give you for yourselves. It's not often that you get to see this on television anywhere. These are diagrams showing the points of injury of the deceased Chakadan Daniel. And images taken from the autopsy report as well. Autopsy on that matter done by the good gentleman, Dr. Stephen King. So you see the images. I'm no expert, but I'm not inciting anything here as well. But when you have a matter that's gone on for so long, and any matter, and there is no official clarification, there is no official confirmation or guidance, you've left the door wide open for public speculation. So don't blame us here. We're not inciting anything. When you look at those photos, St. Lucia and viewers, you get an appreciation for yourselves. You know what it looks like for you. That's all I'm going to say on this particular matter. And Daniel, we can take it down now. Thanks so much. You can rejoin us via the Flow WhatsApp platform, 5840600, 5840600, or the Flow landline as well, 4500777, 4500777. We're streaming live on Hot 7 TV, on Facebook as well, and on the Hot 7 plug and play. Let's go back to some feedback from the Flow handset, and continue to send us your contribution. Somebody says this story is so sad. Another writer says, I had a conversation with a friend who was at the protest, and he revealed the things they did and planned to do was very unlawful. Which protest are we speaking about, Sheldon? That's the protest which is planned by the grieving family who had no justice. You recall they had one of several protests since the loved one's death, and they had gone through the process of requesting approval. On one case, it was not granted, and the family still proceeded denying the instructions by the authorities then. Yeah, so the discussion will continue on the various platforms. Let's take a quick break. Just about 18 minutes now before 9. We conclude on top of the hour of that. Up Friday here on the platform. So we drop the time, we tone things down a bit, but very important discourse here on the program. It's a new course to discuss. Good morning, St. Lucia, with Shannon Abon.
The Super 6 jackpot is now $250,000.